When Alexander the Great arrived at Gordium in 334 BC, it was towards the start of his campaign against the Persian Empire. He had just won his first victory at the Granicus, so morale should have been at an all-time high. But actually there were many reasons why this might not have been the case. For a start, the Persians still had control of the seas. They had a huge amount of manpower to call on for battles on land. The sieges of Miletus and Halicarnassus had been long and bitter, and someone else called Alexander, the son of Antipater, one of his trusted generals, had been part of a plot against Alexander. So there was plenty of reason for concern. And actually, in campaigns in the ancient world, one of the most important things was the morale of your troops. Because if you don't have the morale, you're not going to win the battles, you're not going to win the campaign. So Alexander obviously had a problem. And one thing Alexander the Great is very, very good at is finding morale in the most hopeless of places. When he arrived at Gordium, he heard a story of the Gordian Knot. And it was said that this knot, which attached the yoke to the axle of an ox cart, was so complicated, so impossible to untie, that if anyone did untie it, they would conquer all of Asia. Well, this sounded good to Alexander, and with the hope in the spring of reinforcements from home and meeting up with the other half of the army, it sounded like a really good chance to show his men what they were fighting for. So, we're going to represent the knot and how impossible and complicated it was to undo by giving the deck what's called a sloppy shuffle. Some people say it was invented by a drunk, some by a child, some by a drunk child. But the general idea is that we're mixing it up so that not only are they shuffled, but some are face up, some are face down. It's a real mess, and there's no way for us to really sort it out very easily at all. This is going to be a properly hard thing to untie. Proper Gordian knot for us. You can see some are face up, face down, some are face down, face up, some are kissing, like that. It's a real complicated situation. Now, Alexander was a very straightforward man. He liked to take big, complicated issues and solve them very directly and very swiftly. And one of the stories told to us by all the sources, apart from Diodorus, who doesn't tell this story at all for some unknown reason, was that Alexander simply took out his sword and with a single slash of his blade cut the knot completely in two. And this is one way of solving the problem, and certainly this would be good enough for Alexander. Supposedly there were omens that night of lightning bolts showing Zeus's approval of his work. But the other story, supposedly from Aristobulus, one of the historians that were actually on the voyage with Alexander, was, I think, slightly more clever. And that's that he had the knot around the connection of the yoke and the axle, and he simply removed the pin that connected the yoke and the axle. He slid it out, and with that, the knot fell undone, and he had restored the morale of his men. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is an adapted version of the Triumph, made slightly easier for my beginner's hands. Hopefully one day I'll learn the actual Divern and Triumph and be able to do this again, because it is one of my favourite stories. But yeah, thank you again for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it.